you saying, man?
You're the expert there. You've got her all lined up real good.
Took my ball.
If you don't want to leave it long, I don't know. Skip the level.
Okay.
Call this Village of Grand Manan Council meeting to order at 7:30 PM at the Grand Manan Community Center, February the 1st, 2021. I'll call upon Deputy Mayor Sturgeon to offer a prayer.
Yes, okay. Let us pray. Lord God, we thankful that we live in the nation that we do, and that, Lord God, we live in the free and open democracy. And Lord God, we thank you that all authority under heaven's in your control. And like Solomon of old, Lord God, we pray for wisdom to lead the people. Guide our decisions, and we ask in Jesus' wonderful name. Amen.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As I stated in last month's remarks, Grand Manan is still doing very good with the COVID-19. Let's keep wearing masks where required and maintaining the 2-foot 6-meter distance. The weather person, I was going to say the weatherman, but sometimes it's a women now, states that we will be having a snowstorm, high easterly winds with snow turning to rain with ice pellets, or freezing rain during the changeover to rain. Again, I ask people to drive accordingly to conditions and be courteous to all other drivers. And the people of Grand Manan, and especially on the council, were sorry to hear of Geraldine Ingles' passing. She had been the village clerk for Grand Harbor, and after the amalgamation, she became the clerk for the village of Grand Manan, and she dedicated many years of her life to this service. Geraldine was a person who was dedicated to the people of Grand Manan, and she will be missed. The adoption of disclosure of conflict of interest. The adoption of the minutes of January the 4th, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move for the adoption of the minutes of January 4th, 2021 as circulated.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Additions to the agenda. Number 7 is the RCMP report, and we still don't have anybody.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just comment on that. I was at a RSC meeting very recently, and they said they gave a breakdown of every community on files they handled and such, and I thought it was very interesting. They had 300 plus files just on COVID alone here in Charlotte County, and whether it's people had complained or they were doing a check or whatever, and I thought, well, let's take it up, they're really checking on things, shall we say, and taking this quite seriously. So I thought maybe the rest of the council would like to know that. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I had talked to the new constable that is here, and I mentioned that we weren't having anybody to council meetings. And she said, well, nobody likes to do anything with COVID-19, so I'll drop in and have a talk with them at the police station. I told them that we have a seat reserved for him at all times, so there should be no problem. Number 8 is the 10-minute open session. Number 9 is delegation or special speakers, and Bill Stewart is here to speak about the transfer station, a general update.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to try to do this quick. I have a few things to go over. Number 1 is I got to wear my glasses and I can't see very well with this. Island Waste was hired 5 years ago in May to operate the landfill and transfer station up here, and that's coming to an end. I know council is down to bare minimum here, but we need to make some decisions before May the 31st, and actually should be sooner than that, so if it does go back to tender, everybody has a chance. If it's not, I believe there's extension allowed in it, I'm not sure. I can't remember what we did. Rob, do you remember?
What was the question, Bill?
The question was it was a 5-year term, but was it extendable or not?
Yeah,
It was, okay.
Yeah.
So again, that's up to council. They have to, I just need a little feedback from you guys. I need to replace some equipment. And I don't wanna do that if I'm not gonna need it. And, at the same time, we need a few other things. Our recycling has gone, over the last 5 years, it's expanded by 1,000%. I mean, we do many different things now. I can't explain it all here at the council meeting there, but anybody that wants to know, come on up, see me, and we'll show you everything we do. I got a list this long of stuff that we're doing, stuff that we need to do. Why I'm here right now, more than anything, I do need some feedback on the contract. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna extend it, or are we not? Are we gonna extend it a year till we get a new council? I think that might be appropriate, I'm not sure. It's really not a decision to be made right now, I guess, there, but that's up to council. As soon as possible, I'd like to know just what's gonna happen here in the short term at least. If we are gonna extend it there, it's coming, as I come down here, we need a few things. The biggest problem we have right now is the salmon farm industry has lost their recycling effort on the other side of the water. So all the bags are coming here, and I have no way to deal with it. It's a pretty phenomenal project. If it's something that can be done, it can be done here. I think it should be done here. I really do. I think if we show the salmon industry that we're being responsible, that they will help. And right now, I don't think they're willing to help. They've had some issues in the past with people taking their money and doing nothing. And I believe, so what I'm looking for, our cardboard baler is pretty much on its last legs. Each baler is $8,000. That's for refurbs, not for new. Refurbs are fine with me. They'll last just as long. New ones are roughly $19,000. Refurbs are available right now. The biggest problem we have at that transfer station, I don't know if anybody here is electrical or not, we only have 208 power up there. We need 575. Is anybody electrical here at all? I'll have to look into that, because I just found out today that they would have put a step-up transformer, which is another $5,000. I would prefer to stay away from that if we can spend that $5,000 and put proper power in. Proper power for an industrial site is 600 volts. I'd have to talk to Jamin and those guys tomorrow. I will do that tomorrow and find out what the cost is to change it to 575, which it should be. It may be less than that amount for the transformer. For the salmon industry, we're gonna need 2 balers. They have 2 different products. So we're talking $24,000 for balers, and whatever it costs for power. If it's $3,000 to $4,000 to get a step-up transformer, you can only run 2 machines at a time. If we change the power completely, the bigger the number, the cheaper the power bill. That's the way it works. If you're going with 600 volts, it's always cheaper. You go to 208, it's more. If you go to 110, it's even more. So, again, I pay the power bills right now, so it's not your concern, and I'm not concerned about it either. The biggest thing is to change each machine over to 208 is about $4,000 each, so that brings your cost up to $12,000. A step up, I need to find out a little more information on power. We also need some infrastructure work. We don't have any more room, and Jane was head of the Solid Waste Commission. She was working with me some. I don't know if anybody else is appointed to it, or anybody else would come up and give me a hand to take a look at the whole project. Rob's been up to see what's required. We're gonna have to change some doors. We need to move some stuff. We have to pour some cement. We have to move the trailer ahead. We can do it in the building. It can be done. And we need another door, another loading dock door, because you have to back 2 trailers in front now, not just 1. And the cost of this, again, we just found out on December the 4th there when we went across there that the recycling facility's closed, so now we're starting to get backed up really bad. We either gotta start throwing in the garbage, or we gotta deal with it. My opinion in this whole thing is, if we do this and spend the money and show the industry that we're doing something about it, maybe we could put something along the line as a bottle deposit. So when the bags come across, whatever bags are in a trailer, if they send 100,000 bags, you put 25 cents a bag, 25 cents, it's $25,000. That would come back to the village. And the village can deal with it as revenue, you know what I mean? Again, the village will be spending the money on this. I can't spend any more on capital costs here. I've spent a lot. way over 100,000, closer to 150,000 on building and stuff, and if I can't take it with me, I'm not gonna be spending it anymore. So, you know, cement pads and buildings and stuff, I can't deal with that on my own, that has to come through council, I'm sorry. And I can show you what I've spent. That cement pad that's up there right now, we did the pave job, Rob did a phenomenal job getting the money for us, but when we looked at the whole scope of the work, there was another almost $10,000 that had to be spent that wasn't in the budget, so I paid for that. That's just an example, so, and it's been paid for, it's done. Again, I need somebody to work with me. I don't know if any counselor here is willing to work with me or not on this over the next few weeks and see what we can come up with, so we can come back to the next council meeting and say this is what we need. And otherwise, I don't, possibly, council could go to Cook's and Benson's and you know, that's really it, I guess, here. But at the same time, it's a phenomenal amount of stuff, and it needs to be recycled. It's worth nothing. At the end of the day, it's worth almost nothing, but it's not going to landfill. So again, we're coming back to what do we want to do as a society here. As a society, this is not going away. This salmon industry is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I've seen it over the last 5 years. It just blows my mind. And anyway, we need to deal with this. We need to deal with it very soon. So I don't know if council can give me some input on what they think, and we can go look at the building, see what needs to get done, get quotes, get everything done, see if we can find some money to get this. There's usually money out there. Rob knows we're recycling and might be able to come up with something. Again, it's just something we need to get on to now. So, sorry, I'm just yeah, there's so many unknowns to this project there that we really need to sit down as, you know, a couple of people here and take a look at it and see, you know, is it feasible, is it not feasible, how do we try to recover the money later on, because I believe that it should be recovered. Again, it shouldn't be the village's issue to take care of this, but right now it is, and I don't know how else to deal with it. It's my issue right now, and my issue is your issue, so. Last that I have here, and again, like I said, I'm looking for more input from council, maybe not tonight, but another day, are the hours of operation. During COVID, when it started, we shut down, we start at 7:30 in the morning normally. That was the original contract until 6 p.m. and then on Saturdays 8 to 4. During COVID, we shut back to 5 because we have part-time help. One is 80 years old, one is 16. They can't come. We had to send them home and say, sorry, I paid them, but you can't have them there. It's just the way it is. So it left me and Derek. And to try to do those hours was impossible. Anyway, we had some complaints at the start, quite a few actually, from people that are working 7 to 5. Absolutely, I guarantee it. You know, you're going to work, you can't do it after work. So Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, we open at 6:30 in the morning. We started that 6-8 months ago. We didn't advertise it, but it was open, and we get 20 to 30 people every morning between 6:30 and 7:30. We're working there anyway, so the gate's open and go. I'm not asking for anything less. I'm just saying that in the last month that we started opening up to 6 o'clock, I might get one person, I might not get any. What my suggestion is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, leave it at 6:30 to 5. Tuesday and Thursday, and we'll advertise this out. If there's anybody out there that can't get there, then Tuesday and Thursday you can drop it, you know, between 5 and 6. Very difficult for me to find anybody to work nights. Mornings is not an issue. I could open every morning at 6:30, it wouldn't bother me. But to keep anybody there after 5, nobody wants to stay, so guess who does it? It's me. And if I need to go away or anything, then we're in trouble, you know, if something happens. Again, something has to be approved by council, I agree 100%. Same amount of hours that we had signed the contract for, it just seems to accommodate more people. We have a lot more between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning than we ever have between 5 and 6 at night. If people are going to work, they're going, Cook's was the big one. We work 7 to 5, you know, so stop at 6:30 and drop your garbage off. Usually it's open at 6:15, so, but it's definitely open by 6:30. Again, needs to be approved by you guys. So, that's all I have. I see you guys got a big agenda here, but like I say, I do need a little help and input on this next project, and it needs to be done very soon. Either that or we're gonna start landfilling stuff, and it's gonna get expensive, and it's not where we wanna be. It just isn't, so. That's all I have. Who's next?
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
I think I'm the last person standing on the solid waste committee, if I remember correctly, who was on it, and I'm not sure if we restructured it or not. Did we in the spring?
I don't think so.
I'm not on it, so.
And I'm willing to work with anybody, just come over and bring it back to council what we're looking at here. We'll get proper quotes, we'll get everything done correctly. It's just, I need somebody to just help me with a little bit of input and see what we need to do here and what's.
Sort of like a liaison almost kind of deal.
What's that, sorry?
Sort of like a liaison?
Exactly,
If I say
yeah,
so,
yeah. Like I said, Rob knows, Rob came through with me and I showed him what we need to do structurally to the building. A lot of it should be done anyway. That big door in the backside that they used to drive through, that blew in, I don't know how many years ago there. That needs to be removed, and we'll move the trailer ahead. That gives us another 20 feet behind the trailer. But all the doors are done improperly. They need to go all the way up so that we can do this, and the doors are in pretty rough shape. So again, if we had somebody from council there, we could take a look at everything and see what needs to be replaced and what, you know what I mean? But again, we need a lot more real estate. Another building is not feasible, so how do we do it inside the building? We figured out a way, but it's gonna take a little bit of doing, and we don't have a lot of time, so. It's gonna take a lot of doing. I shouldn't say a little bit, it's gonna take quite a bit.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I appreciate Bill bringing this to the council and letting us know the issues and the situation. Certainly needs a group to go and meet with him.
It wouldn't take long.
Well, it's gonna take a while to put together a scope of what needs to be done and then budget that out and have a timeline. So I would be willing to work with Bonnie on that, if you'd allow, and somehow put this together in a package that we can understand,
And we
discuss,
can
and
bring it
with
down
Rob
to
as
the
well.
council.
Yeah.
We can bring that to council and say this is where we're sitting, and if we get, 3 minds working on this instead of one, would make a lot more sense to me.
So I don't know if you wanna have Howard to add another person, Bonnie, or?
We normally have 3, but that's,
We can work together
But
here.
I'm-
It's more or less real estate and the bailers, we already know the cost on the bailers.
Well, we can work with Rob then, and just a suggestion.
Thank you.
so do we need a motion to add Kurt to solid waste, or how do
No,
we
I
do
don't think
that?
so.
Okay,
It's, and on a committee, it's just an appointment by the mayor.
very good.
Okay then, thanks again, Bill.
Thanks, guys.
Graydon?
Sorry for passing you this.
Yep. There you go.
Thank you.
Cough now, people.
Okay, public speaking is not my thing, so bear with me. So I guess I'm here just to present the idea of music in the park. And it's the same thing that most small communities, towns, cities have. They all have a stage somewhere and they have local talent and people play like on a weekly basis on a Friday early evening or Friday after or Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, just for like an hour to 3 hours, whatever. Nothing big, but a family thing, community thing. Kind of my reasons for doing this is music is good for mental health issues. That's a known fact, and it helps a lot of things. Can bring people, community together, young and old. There's certainly a lack of things to do, like in that aspect here on the island, with no more Rotary Festival too, so that's something else missing. And it's something that can be done social distancing as well, like if that's something that's required at the time, then that can happen if you have a big enough area to do it in. So, and I guess once there was a venue established, stage built, and whatever, it could be used for many things. It's endless what it could be. Just I had Canada Day celebrations, political event, church services, reception, just anything, any music event or anything for anybody to use. I'm proposing to do it at Silco Ball Diamond just because it's not a regular used field. There's lots of space and there's lots of parking and has good access road and just lots of space to do it. And there's lots of space to do it off to the side without interfering with the ball ground too. Like it could be done on the eastern side of the ball field, like 3/4 the way down the field, like right on the side of the fence line, so that it's not into the field at all, but it's just on the edge of it, so that ball can resume, you know, when they have games and stuff, or lots of space for everybody. The stage, I had construct a semi-permanent, so permanent stage, and it would be a covered stage too. Just we get lots of fog and damp weather and everything else, so it's got to be a good covered stage. An average stage is about 30 by 16. That's what I normally have when I do my own thing, and that's just adequate for a full band or whatever. So rough cost of this, you're looking at about $4,800, maybe a little cheaper, but that would be labor. That would be materials only. The labor can be looked after, donated, so that wouldn't be a factor into it. I had things that are needed, so there would be a power supply would be one. And there are poles down that back stretch that used to have lights on it for the playground at one time, I think, or something. But so there would have to be a power supply run to it. And porta potties, and I do have a question on that. So is there, right now, is there 2 toilets there?
I think there's just one.
There's a building there and it has a door on each side of it.
I thought one of them was just for storage of working things, but
You
tell
know,
me. One toilet.
one. Yeah. So that one still is operational and whatever. So
It's basically a compost toilet, there's no water, it's just
yep, a tank. It's sitting on a tank. Yep. Okay, so a couple toilets would be needed, like for something like that, for sure. Parking lot would have to be cleaned up. It's kind of grown in with alders and everything else just from lack of use over the years, I guess. And the backstop poles, there's a few of them that are half fallen over. They've got quite a lean to them, so it's something that would have to be fixed up or addressed, and just continued maintenance by the village. Music in the Park program, it's something I'm offering to run my own time, schedule local people and the odd person off the island. Just, I love music, I'm into it, and I've got 2 young grandkids, and I kind of guide them to enjoy music too when they do, and my grandson, he's 2.5, and he plays music, so it's something I hope they can follow along and continue on. And I just put this on here because everybody's always going to ask that. It says, what's in it for me? I love music. Not last year because COVID shut everything down, but the year before I had saw 70 bands that year, and it's something I enjoy, and music is good, so. And another reason, I love my community and my island, and I've always loved, when I was younger, I always loved the older people, but unfortunately now I'm getting to be the older person, so that happens kind of fast, I guess, but I like community together, and I like socializing with people, so it's a good thing to bring people together, I guess. And I have down also under that, having a severe illness. Playing music helps with my memory, which is horrible most of the time, but it does help with that, just kind of brain stimulation, and it's a form of exercise, and it's a social gathering, so they're kind of the reasons, I guess. And I just have a little write-up I'll just read quickly. On my own, I'll be putting on 2 semi-large concerts a year, and I've been doing this own concept on my own for 5 years now. And I put on just a free community potluck barbecue every year, and there's usually like 60 to 80 people that come, and it's just to bring people together, I guess, and it's just a good time. I've held some small concerts. The last one was roughly 200 people and food vendors. There was no issues, everything goes smoothly. I always make sure there's adequate sober drivers per amount of people, and I don't promote drinking. It's not what it's about for me. There is drinking at concerts for sure, not at the Music in the Park for sure. That's not where it is, like just specifically for special events. And I've been sober for over 15 years now, so it's definitely not something I promote, but it happens. Point of access is important for controlling who comes and who goes when you do have a bigger event, because you can make sure nobody's driving when they shouldn't be. And summer 2021, this summer, I have 2 large concerts planned. I already have 5 bands booked, and a few more to get booked. A few more to book. Promotions for these are going to start in a couple of weeks, so yeah, so I hope it brings people to the island, COVID permitting, of course, like everything has to hinge around that, but hopefully other people hold similar interest, hold hopefully other people will hold similar events as this, such as the Folk Fest in the past years. And I'm not sure exactly why Carly's not doing it anymore, but I know she doesn't have a location to do it either, so if there's a location, maybe that would continue. And I think she has done well, like she's always, everybody's been safe and nothing was rowdy or whatever, so. And I just have, as it's a new world we live in with COVID, as it is a new world we live in. I can't even read that anymore. Anyway, with COVID, everything would be within the guidelines of COVID, so. So I guess that's all I had on my papers, but I would definitely like your input and consideration when it comes to a program like this.
I guess I'll have a comment more than anything else, Graydon. I have been down to your get-togethers
Yep.
in the last, 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
I've always found a very, very good family atmosphere there, and always all age friendly. You not only have something I always found for the for the adults there, but whether it was a water that slide there, we go down a
Slip and
plastic sheet
slide,
or
yeah.
whatever. There was always kids were having a good time as well. And anyway, if nothing else, I'd like to say thank you for doing that faithfully each and
Yep.
every year, and I think it shows that you have some experience about how to promote a good safe time.
Thank you.
I think the location's a good spot. We talked earlier, we'd have to sort of consult the neighbors and everything, talk to them about it. And
Yep.
we talked about your concerts, shutting them down at a certain time and everything.
Yep.
Just so we wasn't going on too long. The ball diamond itself is still gonna be
Yes.
all ready for baseball. The stage will be out of the way.
Yep.
And you can leave the stage up and just won't be in the way at all. So anyway, I think it's a doable project, and I'd like to look into it further.
Good.
Mr. Mayor, I don't want to step on Councillor Fitzsimmons' toes as chair of the recreation, but entertainment would fall under recreation as well, I would assume, or? Because,
Or help.
Entertainment.
yeah. But anyway, what I would suggest here, and I would make a motion to this effect, is that we refer this matter to the Recreation Committee, and,
We don't have a recreation committee,
well, he's chair of something there.
Well, we have
two
Council
people.
Cheney and Chris, and we get together, but we've been talking to Graydon already about
Okay,
this.
sure.
And anyway, we was just waiting for him to present it here, and
I think it's a good idea, Graydon.
I think it's
Makes-
a great
Makes
idea.
the use of the place down there, it's not getting much use.
Yep. Thank you.
so,
Let's say
what-
the only question I would have would be, I think we do need to check on the insurance aspect of it if we're having those type of events, and have some sort of waiver if they are being held down there, because it is a different type of
For sure.
activity, but
Yep.
that would be, other than that, I mean, for the cost, it's not.
And on zoning too, and insurance, but that would be part of the question that you're going to look at, for sure.
so where would we go from here to help out with us?
Once again, I was thinking, if we went to a committee, then they would do the homework, meet with Graydon, find out the questions and the answers for the
Sturgeon, the
questions.
committee, there's only 5 of us to start out with, so.
Okay, well, council can meet, and then with Mr. Brown in the future, and determine where we go from here. Just make sure that, as Bonnie says, that
Yeah.
any questions, things that we didn't think of or whatever, then we can.
Sure.
And then we could decide on this in the future. We can't decide on this.
No,
obviously
he's
tonight.
not expecting us
No.
to. no.
And I'm sure Mr. Brown isn't expecting that
No,
either, so.
definitely.
But but he does have a timeline here, so this should be done as quickly as possible, I guess.
Maybe report back at the next meeting.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So if we can get a time that's we can get everybody available,
Mhm.
we'll try to do that within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Sound okay?
yeah, sounds good.
Great.
And we'll get back to you. Thank you, Graydon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Letter to the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure requesting a New Year's Day trip. Dear Mr. Green, Council would like to thank you for the reply and action take on our request for the 2021 New Year's Day crossing. The crossing was discussed at a regular meeting on January the 4th. A motion was passed unanimously to request a scheduled reoccurring New Year's Day crossing be made by the Grand Manan Adventure for years to come. Scheduling a crossing planned in advance would always give travelers the time to plan ahead and take better advantage of the trip. It also would allow the ferry operator more time to advertise the crossing to the public. Thank you for consideration on this matter, Dennis Green, Mayor. We haven't heard anything back on that yet. It just went short ago. She has been not fairly prompt, really prompt. New business, Rogers Communication, request for a letter of support for Universal Broadband Fund. Open for discussion.
Mr. Mayor, since May of 2020, Crave Technologies have been asking us for a letter, and on December the 7th at a meeting, it was moved and seconded that we send a letter in support of Crave, and you read that letter on January the 4th. It's what they're asking for is a letter of endorsement similar to what we gave to Crave. I'm just not so sure as if we should be double dating on this one.
Well, we've already wrote one to Bell Alliant.
Yeah, but then that was superseded by the one to Crave, right?
Mr. Mayor, from what I can gather here from the letter, they just simply want to meet with us. And I certainly wouldn't be in opposition to meeting with them. I mean, anything that can improve the services to the residents of Grand Manan, I mean, I'm available. I think most of us would be, so.
Is Rogers, do they actually supply internet here now? I didn't think
I
so.
don't believe so.
They don't supply any cell service, I do know that.
I was pretty sure about that one, but, okay. Yeah, I have no opposition to having a meeting with them. I mean, I'm assuming like everything, it'll be Zoom, but
Well, there's a deadline of February the 15th. So
Well,
they want us
today's
to
just the
meet before
first, so.
then.
And they said to themselves in the letter, the next 2 to 3 weeks, so I mean, if they want to meet with us, they'll make it happen, I'm sure of it.
I just get the feeling that it's a cookie cutter letter. It probably went to all the communities. How they're gonna get to Grand Manan, I don't even know if they know that yet, but if you wanna go ahead and meet, and we'd have to ask these questions, nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's just like the meeting we had with Bell Alliant. They'll do it if they can get funding. Not with their own money, somebody else's.
But once again, we can ask the questions that we, what can they do for us? For our community, right? So,
I'm not as optimistic about this one as I was about the other two, but I think that it's due diligence just to meet with them and have the conversation.
absolutely.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we try to arrange a meeting with Rogers within the next week or so, before their deadline, I guess February the 15th. So.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Morse. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 11.2 is the Castelia Ball Diamond Shore Erosion Prevention. Councillor Cheney.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes. If you probably see that code in front of you, I'll just review it with you. The idea is to prevent the shore erosion at the Castelia Ball Diamond and also the playground. A couple more nor'easters and probably one after tomorrow, we'll see less turf there. What we have here is a quote from Dutchman Contracting to provide armor stone, riprap, and gravel from the right field fence line across center field, over to left field, by the playground, and up to where there's a driveway which comes across from Vivian Fleets. I walked that and discussed that with Alan Morse on 2 different occasions. Chris Rayner was with me on the first occasion. They have a quote here of $40,000 plus HST. And when I see the amount of work that has to be done, compared to the price that we paid to have Stanley's Beach done, which is handing up very well, I think it's very reasonable and a fair price. They have the armor stone. They just had the dynamite brought in. They've got the equipment, and this is the time of year to do it. So I would move that we take and accept the quote from Dutchman Contracting for the Castelia Ball Diamond Shore Erosion Prevention.
CL, can we do that?
Can
we do that with the amount of money?
well, we got 20 grand
No, that
already.
isn't what I mean.
Legally.
Legally, can we just go and award something for that amount of money, or does it have
For
to vote?
construction, yes, you can.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Okay, you heard the motion by Councillor Cheney. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question?
That was, I guess, my question. We have 20K in the budget for it, and so then we have to find the other 20.
Good.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. .3 is the observation deck at Long Eddy, the Laurie Morrison Memorial. Councillor Cheney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I met with Kenny Ingersoll on January 13th to go out and review the project. I reviewed the correspondence from Silk Stevens, the engineering firm who is going to be working on this project. If you've been to Long Eddy, you'll know as you walk down, there's a helicopter pad up on to your right. There's the Whistle Building lighthouse, and beyond that, there's a cliff with some trees. And the idea, and this was Laurie's plan, was Laurie's idea, the Salthill Keepers Society has the funds to construct, but they would appreciate the village in doing the engineering cost, carrying the engineering cost. What we'll be doing, and what they'd like to do, is to extend a deck out 15 to 20 feet and 30 foot wide. And what that would allow you is an unimpeded view, 180 degrees, from the Wolves south to down past Indian Beach. It's quite a vista with the rip at Long Eddy and the whales, seals, dolphins that play there. bird life. And I think it'd be a great tribute for the village to do this in memory of Lori Morrison. The cost of the village was $7,500 for the engineering. That price was given in to us through Rob previously, and it's been also reviewed, and price is still holding at $7,500 plus HST. So I would move that council approve the engineering cost of $7,500 plus HST for this observation deck as a Lori Morrison Memorial.
You heard the motion by Councillor Cheney. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question?
Just a question, are there any, I have no problem with spending the money out of our regular budget, but I'm just wondering, is there anything like through gas tax or anything else that we could tap into for this, or is it straight out of our budget?
You mean the construction bonnet, or?
No, for the engineering piece of it, I didn't know if there was any opportunity to look at funding mechanisms for it, or if it's all out of our,
I don't think on the engineering.
okay.
Yeah, and SKS is going to do the construction. Yeah. And as Councillor Cheney said, that Lori floated that 2-3 years ago. It was pretty foremost on her mind, for sure.
Any other question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 11-4, harm reduction, Councillor Fitzsimmons.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Slide this over here. I just have some information from the Canadian Mental Health Association of New Brunswick and the province of New Brunswick. You're all familiar with the 911 number we call in case of emergencies. Well, now there's a new number. It's 211. 211 is an informational helpline available by phone. It helps New Brunswick residents navigate the complex network of government, health, community, and social services quickly and easily. It's 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, with interpretation in 170 languages. That should cover most of us. Access to food, financial assistance, newcomer support, resources for parents and families, and more. When you don't know where to turn, help starts at 211. This could be a very helpful resource, and I think we need to get that information out there. And I believe we put it on our Facebook page and that. Number 2 is Canadian Mental Health Association in the province of New Brunswick have come up with a bounce back. It's a life skill program. It's designed to help New Brunswickers improve their mental well-being through self-guided online delivery and coaching. Christina Baldwin, the executive director of CMHA, has said we have been moving through COVID-19 pandemic since March. We are now in our winter season, which may be difficult for many people. CMHA of New Brunswick wants people to know that they're not alone. CMHA of New Brunswick is launching their newest program, Bounce Back, to help people struggling with stress, anxiety, low mood. The program teaches New Brunswickers how to get through tough times and improve their ability to cope. The mental health concerns will not disappear with the COVID-19 vaccine. New Brunswickers are encouraged to reach out for the support they need. Bounce Back is a free guide, self-help program, effective in helping adults 19 plus manage low mood, mild to moderate depression, anxiety, stress, or worry through telephone coaching and a selection of skill-building workbooks to choose from. Participants can customize their own program, learn ways to overcome their symptoms, and improve their mental well-being now and in the future. It's available in English and French to residents of New Brunswick. The program is free to all participants and will be delivered by coaches who are extensively trained. Bounce Back gives New Brunswickers more choice and access and support from home to help navigate this difficult time and improve coping mechanisms. CMHA has lots of courses, workshops, and free webinars that can be found on their site, cmha.ca. Another incentive they've come out with is called Bridge the Gap. You can just go on your computer and find it. Just type in Bridge the Gap. It's an email health resource co-designed by people with lived experiences of mental health challenges and addictions and community and government partners. It's part service directory, part knowledge hub, and ultimately a go-to resource for mental wellness, information, and support. Bridge the Gap is a customized storefront to connect people in our region to mental health supports. It was developed to address the gap between mental health and substance use challenges and access to quality local support. It's been a trusted source for resources and services. Actually, since 2015, it was first launched in Newfoundland and Labrador as an app they could get on their phone. But Bridge the Gap then transitioned to a web-based platform addressing both youth and adult needs. There's a lot of stuff on there for like say it, adults, men, women, teenagers. It's quite something. I was on just having a look around there, and there's a lot of stuff on there. So we encourage people to look at those sites. February, just a little bit of information here. February is Suicide Prevention Month, and the first Friday in February is our Day in Yellow event. This event gives us the chance to promote awareness about suicide, mental illness, and mental health associated with suicide, as well as suicide prevention. So they would like everyone to join together and spread the word by wearing yellow on Friday, February the 5th. Last thing. As most of you know, there's been a move to get the methadone clinics here on the island, so people don't have to travel to the mainland to get their methadone. And there's already been some ongoing collaboration and work between Manan Hospital, Harm Reduction Committee, New Brunswick College of Pharmacists, and Michael Monroe, the new pharmacist that's coming to Manan. They're working to allow this service to be delivered on the island. Key steps moving forward is getting all the different stakeholders engaged so the service can be implemented for residents of Manan. I was talking to Michael this morning, and he's looking for a letter of support from council for setting up this clinic. The letter would be going to Horizon, and he was going to set up a phone call with him so he could answer some questions on that, but that fell through. And but he's willing to talk with Amy and Rob and anybody about setting up this letter, and just going through who needs it, where it needs to go, and that sort of stuff needs to be in it. So I think we should help them out a little bit here. Do we need a motion for that or anything?
No, I don't think so.
No. So I'll get him, we've been in contact with him, we can email him tomorrow, he'll send us all the information and everything.
He doesn't quite know when he's getting here, does he?
Middle of the month.
February?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
So he's excited. He's, can't wait to get here and get going. He's hitting the ground running. Yeah,
He has a sister here,
yes,
and his
Jackie.
mother and father camp at the Anchorage. I met them.
yeah. Yeah, no, it should be good. He's into a lot of different things, and he wants to be part of the community and work with the community and do what he can.
Okay then, thanks for the information, Councilor Fitzsimmons. Recreation Director's Report for January 2021. Those are pretty sneakers.
Alyssa will be proud of me that they don't coordinate with my top this month.
Oh,
She was awful concerned that my red sneakers didn't go with my pink top. She couldn't believe my wife let me leave the house that way. I didn't know she cared that much.
In the Zoom world, nothing matters below here anyway.
No, that's just as long as you cover that upper thigh. So as you all know, COVID's still continuing to be a struggle for the recreation field, as it is for most every field that we're living in today. The orange alert level allows us to operate the majority of our facilities, but unfortunately in a capacity that we really can't do a whole lot with them. We did have that week of red that really complicated things, which gave us a complete shutdown of everything. They come out with a new recovery level update on January 17th, which basically give us the different colors with what we could and could not do. And in that red level, for after the update on January 17th, it did say, unfortunately, that gyms were closed, meaning fitness centers. But like most of these rules that we've had through this whole pandemic, a lot of that is open for interpretation. So if you continue to look towards the bottom of the page on that new updated version, at the very bottom under sports and recreation, it did say that exercising alone or with persons of your same household bubble was permitted. So some of you do know that in that red phase, we did keep the fitness center open. We interpreted it that that's the way we could do it, along with all the rest of the strict guidelines that we had, but further to restrict to one person or two people as long as they are in the same bubble. Well, apparently my interpretation was incorrect in that, and I'll take full responsibility. Some of you may know there was some local complaints went in about the fitness center remaining open, which triggered an inspection from the province in public health. The inspector came in, very plainly said, no, you can't. He was very polite, and he went on his way, so we closed. So now we know we can't operate the fitness center in red. But luckily, that next day we went back to orange, so it wasn't an issue. The pickleball, we do have our dedicated retired polar bear club, as we call them, that still wants to play pickleball outside, because unfortunately in the red level, they aren't able to use the gymnasium. We did have to slow them down a bit. We were finding that they were taking it to the next level where they were doing some shoveling and de-icing on their own, which was great. We loved the enthusiasm, but we were afraid that poor old Bob Stone might have a heart attack while he was shoveling. But after we found out they were doing that, we were worried about harming the surface. As some of you know, that surface is a very complex layers of different material, and we were afraid with the scraping with the shovels and the applying the salt would harm that surface. So just to make sure before we told them something that wasn't true, I reached out to the manufacturer, and they come back and said that they did not recommend it. Not so much that you would hurt the color, but there's 3 layers of silica sand there with different size silica at each level for traction for the players when they're playing. So they're afraid if they scrape that, it might take some of that silica sand off the top, which would reduce the traction as you know, resulting possibly in some injuries. The salt really wasn't a big issue, other than they were afraid it might discolor the paint a little bit and just have to be cleaned off. So hopefully, we don't get too much more snow. Hopefully we get a lot of rain, get them back out. You know, it's important for them to keep active throughout this whole thing, until we get back to a yellow stage where we can get them back inside. So we had a phone call the other day from the town of St. Martin's. St. Martin's, some of you may know, has a refrigeration machine the same as the one we have here locally at the rink. I believe they had theirs first, and a group from here traveled down to St. Martin's to look at this new technology to see if that was something that fit for our community, and it just so happened that it was. Since then, we've had some issues with the original construction with the machines. Apparently the machines were designed for northern communities in Newfoundland and Quebec. Our climate's just a little too warm. We ended up breaking the compressors, having to do a huge overhaul. New style compressors, everything's worked fine since. Well, apparently St. Martin's just had the same thing happen. When we rebuilt our machine, we sent all of our spare parts and compressors to them. They've been able to limp along the last 5 or 6 years on all those parts and compressors, but apparently she finally coughed. So the clerk there reached out to say, we're trying to convince council to see if there's anything we can do to go through the same process you guys did. We're really hoping that we can get an application in there, possibly even use the gas tax if we can prove there's some energy conservation there with these new compressors and so on. How can you help? So we went back through. First phone call I made was to Councillor Cheney, because he's just a vast of knowledge. He's got notebooks from the 70s and 80s. He just loves digging through that stuff. I was completely off on my calculations. I didn't realize that it was back in December of 2015 when we overhauled that machine. So we found the invoice, passed that information on how much it would cost for them roughly, with what it cost us to rebuild that machine. And they wanted to know if there's any power savings. So I went back, Amy gave me the book, went back to the power bills with the breakdown, and our power bill before the machines ranged anywhere from $68, $66, $6,200 a month. You can see it right along through December 2015, new compressors were installed, 52, 53, 55, 51. So there seemed like there was a bit of a savings there. St. Martin's was quite excited for that, to be able to make this application. Anyway, I told them if there's anything else that we could do to help them out for that, we would certainly do so. I know Kirk's been in contact with some of his buddies down there, so we'll keep the dialogue open. Hopefully we can do something to help those guys out, for sure. Since the last meeting with the skate park, it seems like it has had a little bit of attention. We were, I know the mayor, the deputy mayor, and myself all received some phone calls from the Telegraph asking about the skate park project, asking for some information about the proposed project. They wanted to get a hold of Cooper to get his side of the story, and there was a short time after that, there was a piece in the paper with Cooper's story, which is very encouraging. Since then, we have had a little bit of, I guess Deputy Mayor Sturgeon had some conversations with some people, and there's been some interest in possibility of some funding through them. I'm not sure if that's a public thing or not. I'll leave that up to the Deputy Mayor whether or not he wants to speak on that or not. So anyway, right now, it's just kind of sitting in limbo. There's not a whole lot we can do. Like I said, there is an application with RDC that can be filled out. But before anything can happen, I have to have some type of a direction on whether or not the project can proceed. So I've just been kind of crunching some numbers with the possibility of what the total cost would be. As of right now, if we had the full cost of $84,000. We can receive funding for up to 50% of that from RDC, which brings us down to Some conversation with a couple of counselors as well as the office staff, it doesn't seem to be an unrealistic number to ask the kids to possibly fundraise up to $10,000 to put towards this. As we all know, the more money these kids have vested in this, the better care they'll take of the facility for sure. We also have, through another source of funding, the possibility of another $8,000. So as it stands right now, if all that comes into play, at the end of the day, the village would be looking at roughly $24,000 to do that project. And I will say, these last few weeks, there's been a lot of conversations back and forth with the recreation committees through St. Stephen and Sussex. And there was a piece that kind of circulated the other day, and if I may, I'm going to read it. Recreation is not a luxury. It's a necessity for our physical and mental health, our youth and our seniors, and the sustainability of our community. Facilities not only host events, sporting events, they host community engagements, festivals, events, etc. They are what supports our public health, create vibrant communities, that helps attract professionals and newcomers, and the thoughts to keep all of our children local. But the last thing on my list here is just a little seed I would like to plant at this time in everybody's minds. It's far from set in stone. A lot of variables have to take place between now and then for this to happen. But Hockey Canada has permitted extend of the season until the end of April. Normally the season ends the end of March, first week of April. This year they have, under the circumstances, they have agreed to sanction any event. When I say sanction, that means that the kids and the players and coaches all have insurance until the end of April. They're hoping that if, God willing, we get back to yellow, we'll be able to try to salvage some type of a season for the kids. These kids haven't played a game in 6 weeks. They are dedicated. They come every week to practice, week in and week out. And it'd be good to give them some type of reward for all that hard work. So, if we get to yellow, and if we get permission from the league, if we get permission from Hockey New Brunswick, we may be coming back to see if we can get permission to extend the season here from the end of March to the end of April, an extra month, keep the ice in. Like I said, a lot's got to happen between now and then. And after Dr. Russell's announcement the other day, that's probably a long shot. I think we're going to get to yellow before spring. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there just in case. We had a meeting the other night. This was discussed, all these what ifs, and just have it out in the back of your mind just in case. So that's all I have for my report. If anyone has any questions.
Comment more than anything else, Mr. Mayor, as the Recreation Director alluded to. Because of the Telegraph's Journal story, from what I understand, was a very positive story. I did get a phone call from a former mayor of Tide Head, Mr. Alan Dixon, and he is on the New Brunswick Protestant Orphanage Foundation. In spite of its title, they give to all people of all kinds of faiths and such like that. And he said he's very touched by the story of Mr. Cooper and his plight, and so he said he said that if you would put in for the money, he says, I say there's a very good chance that you can get up to $8,000 because it says open to profitable, non-profit organizations, and interestingly enough, municipalities as well. So anyway, I take this as very good news. And my thoughts is that same as what we did for the Seal Cove playground. we said we would provide up to so much money, and it was up to the rest of them to get it, and we did through RSC and fundraising and such. And I would think that maybe along the same, I was thinking along the same numbers as Director Rayner here, that if we provided like $25,000, which is what we did roughly for the playground down here, then it would be a number to build on and go from there.
Did we give 25,000 to that playground? 10,000.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah.
very good. We did get, but anyway, we did get some numbers, money too. Thank you very much for the clarification on that, Mr. Mayor.
The village applied on the behalf of the playground committee for RDC for money.
Yes.
Because they couldn't apply, we did.
No, of course.
And this is something that we're gonna have to move on. If we wanna do it, we'd have to start moving on it fairly soon.
Well, there's no guarantees with the funding with RDC.
No.
I mean, it's an application that has to be submitted, and not sure how long it takes. I'm not sure how fast the government's moving on these types of projects. I mean, their main concern right now is probably COVID and all the stuff that they have to deal with. But I mean, they very well could move on it, but you never know. But it's something that, to put the application in sooner than later would be better, yeah.
And once again, if we didn't raise, if for some reason we couldn't get together $80,000, then you work with what you got, right? That'd be my thinking, so.
Yeah, but to get the most out of RDC, we'll put in the total project cost and apply
Sure.
for 50%.
Are you looking for a motion to apply?
I'm just reporting on the skate park.
I would make a motion that we apply to RDC for half of the funds for the skate park construction.
You heard the motion by Councillor Marsh. Do we have a seconder?
Second?
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
I do have a question before you go about Orange,
Yes.
and I know the rules are ambiguous, just and ever changing. But your story about the pickleballers' plight, can they get into the gym now under Orange? And I'm wondering about the seniors walking group as well, because I know they were very close to getting in January, and then we rolled back.
The pickleballers cannot, because that's considered team play. And
Okay.
you're not allowed team play. Theoretically, the pickleballers could come in and do skills and drills, as long as they maintain social distance. That's the way the rule is right now with hockey. It's not perfect. I don't know how many of you have, other than Councillor Fitzsimmons and myself, have ever tried to corral 20 or 30 4 to 7-year-olds on the ice. You don't keep them socially distanced. You try, but you don't. But with the walkers, under the current operational plan for Orange for the community center, we aren't allowing anyone in the gymnasium where it's a shared space with the Boys and Girls Club. Under yellow, we were opening up, we were using the girls that are attending to the fitness center to schedule that as well as clean it. Under orange, we shut that down.
I just wondered if there was any opportunity, because I know with the weather being cold, it's getting
We can-
harder to do things outside.
We can certainly revisit it. The trouble with the walkers were coming in during the same operation hours as the Boys and Girls Club. When we had the pickleball in, everything was from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. or weekends when the Boys and Girls Club wasn't operating. I can reach back out to the Boys and Girls Club to see if there's any way that we can come to some type of arrangement with them to try to get the walkers in like that 8, 9, 10 o'clock range and see what the Boys and Girls Club schedule is for the gym on most mornings and see if there's a chance that there's enough time between the walkers and the Boys and Girls Club's first user group to allow for some disinfecting and some time between for the disinfectant to.
That's kind of what I was wondering,
Yep.
if there was any, or even like a day a week or something when they weren't doing a program, if there was an opportunity, because
Yep. I'll check
I
with.
know you had a fair number that were taking advantage of it.
Yep, I'll take it, I'll reach out next door and ask them about their schedule and see if there's any conflict with allowing the walkers to come in 2 or 3 days a week, whatever, we can work with them on the, because I know they have preschool and play school, and some days they're in there at different times, so we can find a difference in the schedule to allow us for that bigger contact time between the two groups then.
Sounds
Because
good.
we have the staff here, and the girls are at the fitness center, they would be able to disinfect the door handles or benches or whatever, so. Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
One more thing, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Rader, would there be anything that would keep us from maybe applying for the $8,000 from the New Brunswick Protestant Orphanage Organization? Or do you think we should look at that later, or?
I don't think it would hurt to apply. The only issue would be if we applied for money and ended up not doing the project. I don't know if that's a, or if we're right up front with them at the beginning, say, look, we're in the process of trying to get the funding to have this project move forward. We're applying to you as well. If the project moves and we're accepted, then we'll surely take the money. But if we apply and receive the money from the Protestant Orphanage Fund, but the total project doesn't go, then obviously we wouldn't need it.
From what I gather from him, I think they give out monies every month, pretty much anyway, kind of thing. So like it's not like they do it twice a year or anything like that, right? So anyway, so I didn't want to put anything in jeopardy, I guess, shall we say.
Maybe some correspondence back and forth with them, and just be upfront with them. Say, look, this is what we're doing.
Okay, so it would be perfectly fine contacting Brenda from the organization.
Yeah, no,
See
you
where we go from
sent the
there.
contact information, so I have her email, so I'll send her off an email and tell her what we're doing.
Okay,
Yep.
great, thank you.
Point of clarification, is that the same $8,000 you talked about earlier?
Yes.
We reduced it, okay,
Nope, the $8,000 from the Protestant Orphanage Fund.
it's the same eight,
Same age.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
I didn't include the $8,000 from the Kirk and Holly Cheney Fund. but-
No, that's a little low.
Thank you.
Thank you. Approval to pay the following invoices from the General Operating Fund: Micmac Fire and Safety, bunker suits, $4,305.59. Beers Neal, budget matters, $3,565. Cummings Fire and Safety, Fire Department, $2,152.80.
I would move to pay the aforementioned invoices from the general operating fund.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
Second,
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question?
yes, Mr. Mayor, on the Cummings Fire Safety and Fire Department, I didn't know what that was, so late this afternoon I talked to Andrew Jones, and he mentioned that was something they had in the budget last year for hoses.
Yep,
And I said, well, no problem, we just pay for it this year. He said, well, that's taking our budget for this year, and it's a good chunk.
has to come from this year though.
It has to come from this year, yeah. Just didn't know if somehow you could retroactive Peter Paul.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our next regular council meeting is at the Grand Manan Community Center, March the 1st, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. And now we're going into closed session for personnel.
I would move we adjourn to closed session.
Heard the motion by Councillor Morse. We have a seconder?
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I was away for 10 days. All my papers.
Okay.
Call this meeting back to order after closed session, and we were in closed session to discuss a personnel issue.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that, effective January 1st of 2021, that our rec director and our rec assistant be given a 1% pay increase to reflect the cost of living.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Cheney. That's the second time, isn't it? Question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adjourn.
Councillor Morse moved to adjourn. Do we have a seconder?
Aye.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon.